here. I miss driving my project car. So who really cares that there's no seats in it and the roof isn't bolted on? We'll go for a little spin. Wow, what a beautiful day for a cruise, huh? That's scary. Last time you guys saw Masutangu, we were working on the roll cage and the cow panel. So I say in this video, let's make some more progress on the interior, especially on the dash, and we'll get Masutangu closer to being a complete car again. Because, I mean, it's drivable right now, but I don't recommend this at all. Here, you cold?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, a lot of wind coming in here. I can't see anything. I get hit head on. Oh, who taught this guy how to drive a stick, huh? Nobody. Put this back. Let's get to work. First things first, let's pull this roof off because we got more work to do inside. Dude, leave me alone. I'm not getting this dirty yet. All right, now that roof is off, it's time to tackle the dashboard. This is the last big piece that we need to weld in before the roof goes on for the last time. Now this is a factory 65 Mustang dashboard that Blake has already modified by cutting off the visor, TIG welding a patch in where the AC controls were, and filling all of the holes that we're not going to use. Now the challenge for this is obviously going to be fitting it over the Honda steering column and the roll cage tubes, but really the real challenge is going to be trying to integrate this Honda SI gauge cluster where the Mustang gauge cluster used to be. So that's going to require a lot of fab work. Let's get to it. All right, let's see how badly it fits without any real modification. Oh, it doesn't fit at all. The first problem I see here is both roll cage tubes are aimed directly for the important factory 65 Mustang pieces I want to keep. I want to keep this sort of shape right here, and I want to use the factory glove box, but especially with this glove box, once this drops down the 6 or so inches it needs, this roll cage tube is going to be running right through the center of it. So I got to figure out how to modify this to fit down where it needs to go without sacrificing the factory cool parts. Problem number 2 is the factory Mustang dashboard is off kilter from my steering column about 2 inches to the left. So what I think I'm going to do is just cut the entire dashboard in half along the top and pretty much just start with the top and work from there. We're gonna have to cut this thing up. Adios. I'm gonna try to perform a straight cut from corner to corner by eyeballing it. It's gonna be perfect. Good enough for me. All right. Let's start with this. Where we at now, huh? I want you to fit up real nice. All right, we line that up with the center line of the cowl panel. And we're gonna put a trusty rusty vice grip right on there. 2. We getting pretty straight here. The issue I'm now facing is I've realized if I were to just cut the corners of the dashboard to fit around the roll cage, my custom gauge cluster, which would fit right where the Mustang one does, is gonna be off-centered from the Honda steering column by about 2 inches. That would drive me insane. So I think the solution to this is gonna be cutting a 2-inch section out of here and bringing the entire thing to the right, which would center the gauge cluster. However, I'm gonna have to get a little creative with the curvature of this piece that's not gonna fit quite right. But that would also help me from having to destroy this nice corner right here, which I don't wanna do. So I'm gonna cut 2 inches out of this, not look back, and weld it back together if it doesn't work. If I mess this up, I can always get another one, right? Beautiful. Oh, it's like I measured punctured it or something. Not too bad, man. Now that we took that 2 inches out, you can see that the Mustang gauge cluster fits perfectly with the Honda steering column, and we just about clear the roll cage on this side. Now the issue we run into is I want to run a 65 Mustang glove box. And if I want to run that glove box, I'm gonna have to figure something out, because if I want this roll cage to go right here, I gotta cut right into where that glove box sits, and I won't be able to run the Mustang glove box. So, the solution to this, I believe, is to take yet another 2 inches out. Sorry, I gotta cut into Blake's perfect patch panel. However, cutting 2 inches out of the center again and bringing that side in will allow this to pretty much fit right between the roll cages. I can make some tiny filler panels around the roll cages without sacrificing the stock glove box or the stock cluster size. So, another 2 inches, cutting out, that'll be done right about now. As you can see, we mimicked exactly what we did to the other side, and we cut another 2 inches out and brought it in. Now, I'm really happy with this because all we really did visually is get rid of the radio holes, and it still looks like a stock Mustang dashboard. And check it out, we're centered on the steering column, we're even centered on the shifter, and best part is, we barely have to trim anything off the edge of this dashboard to fit in between the roll cage, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So, a little more cutting, this thing's going in. Now that this is all tacked together, next step is to trim this hole to fit around the Honda steering column. But to make that happen, I'm waiting for the trim that goes on the steering column, because I've never had it, and it'll allow me to trace this properly and make it fit tight. So while the male person brings that ever so slowly, we're gonna go on a little road trip, get a glove box door, and get a change door. So let's go to a junkyard. What cool car shall we take to this junkyard? Get that dirty cold start. All right, we are now going to the secret junkyard full of old cars that you're not allowed to know what it is. Anyways, we've already gotten parts here from Masutangu, and it's a good place, so we're gonna go wander around. Hopefully they're open, and try to find those missing pieces. Can we get ice cream, Dad? No! Why? No! Please!
Leave my blood, fucking out of here. Fucking out the kitchen, she was fucking out the chair. Fucking out the bathroom, fucking up up on the stairs. I went stepping out the cupboard, every girl I tried.
That's our place. Our place. The hood prop. That is so cool. Who knew Mother Nature was doing engine swaps nowadays? It's crazy. Got a 350 in it.
I mean, I'm just going off a limb right now, but...
Dude, at least they're sticking to their roots.
I'm leaving.
Man, this project's kind of a good start, but too bad it's full of mud. Bingo. Honestly, I think the glove box in the other one's better, because this one doesn't have an emblem. And it's also kind of stuck, but... Bada bing. Ooh, get the old cigarettes out.
Are they still smoking?
There might be. Dude, see? All right, there's one thing we need is in good shape. Bingo! I found both keys. If you guys didn't know, I actually have a key collection. Will it start?
Vroom, vroom,
Something tells me it will not start. All right, so let's see if these bolts will even come out, because chances are they're rusted in here. Dude! It's like they've never even touched the weather. This is meant to be right here. Bada boom. Complete glove box with the mechanism and bolts. Scored. We're gonna carry this around, and unless we find something better, this will be our piece. All right, we got the part we needed. I'm gonna see how much it runs me, and then we're gonna go back to the shop and install it. Or actually, we probably won't install it yet, but we have it now. Poof! Oh! it's here. Let's fit it up. All right, this goes on like so. Wow, that already makes it look a lot better. So it looks like the measurement from here to here is about 7 inches, and also the width of this trim down here is also 7 inches. So I found the center line of this, measured from here to get 7 inches. That's that spot. And so I'm gonna use this center line and go 3.5 inches in either direction, and then cut it and hope it's close enough. Probably gonna have to do a lot of trimming, but it is what it is. I've done a calculated combination of eyeballing and measuring, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be perfect. Definitely not gonna f it up and need to weld it again. It's gonna be beautiful. Didn't think this through that much. How to cut the tiny corners without making the cut go over the tiny corners. It is a challenge. All right, that might be close enough. Probably not. We'll see. Now we can see here that from the edge of the original dash and the roll cage, we have 3 inches. Now, both sides equals 6 inches. And we've cut 4 inches out of our new dashboard here. So, 6 inches minus 4 inches. Two inches. So, now we have to divide that 2 inches by 2. I'm just kidding. We have to take 2 inches divided by 2 is 1. So we have to take 1 inch off of each side of the dash. And now to measure from the surface of the roll cage to the surface of the dashboard, we're gonna have the top of that measurement starting at 1.5 inches and the bottom of the measurement starting at 3.5, just to clear it. So now what we have to do is go from the edge of our modified dashboard, go in 1 inch, and then from there, 1.5 inches, and then 3.5. And that will be the area we shave off to clear the roll cage. Did that make sense? Because it didn't to me. This is still kind of complicated. I love that sound. I understand why people don't Honda swap Mustangs now. It's all because of this. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. I'm so good at this. Dude, the steering column, zoom up and in here. That's pretty damn close in there. That's pretty damn close. We got a little bit of filing to do to make it even, but that's not bad. All right, now I'm gonna pull the dash out, work on rounding out the cuts I made for the steering column and the roll bars, and then I'm gonna fill these holes that I'm not gonna use. Come on. You gotta love that noise, huh? Now I'm just gonna put some more tacks on this patch we made here because it's not held together by much. Now I'm just gonna plate off the little radio hole from behind so it won't completely fill the space. You'll still see the outline, but there won't be a hole there. Now we have our lovely dashboard with more tack welds and smooth holes. Alright, let's hope it installs a little easier now. Oh yeah. That's pretty good if I say so myself. Alright, it fits in there pretty good. We got everything smoothed out now. Time for the gauge cluster, which is probably going to be the most intricate fab project on this dashboard. So, out she comes. like a glove. Now what I'm gonna do here is put the SI gauge cluster in the Mustang dash. And if I just were to mount it somehow like that, I think it would look crappy and it also probably wouldn't fit that well. So what I'm actually gonna do is modify this cluster itself. I'm gonna take it apart, I'm gonna cut the body up so that the gauges will sit flush in this Mustang dash, similar to how the stock 65 Mustang gauges fit. And that's gonna require a lot of plastic work, which I am completely inexperienced with. So let's see how bad I can cobble this together. There's a real possibility I'll have to buy another new cluster, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. First, I'm just gonna pop off the clear outer cover. Oh. Boom. That's off. Take off the next layer, which is the layer I will be cutting up, which is actually perfect. Bye-bye. Now I'm gonna create a tape line that I'm gonna cut on. What I'm gonna try to do is mimic this same size gap around the entire cluster. So I'm gonna eradicate whatever these warning lights are. I honestly don't know what they are and I don't care. And I'm gonna cut up this plastic body so that it's flat instead of curved like this. I'm now approaching the point of no return that I am likely to regret as soon as I begin. And okay. I feel like a plastic technician, if that's even a career, no offense. I'm looking forward to your comments on everything I'm doing wrong. Now, I'm going to remove the next layer, this little plastic piece that has the check engine lights and other warning things on it. I'll set that aside. And then this and this will be our templates for the new shield. Boom, boom. Let's figure something out here. Boom, to glue it on. Now the problem I'm gonna face with this is the odometer reset, the trip odometer reset button, and whatever this is, honestly I don't even know, but I have to figure out where those will sit in here too. Ah, crap. Damn it. Alright. Now, if I hadn't cracked this one and had used the right kind of plastic, this would be the piece we need, but we have to do it again. And that really sucks because this would have worked great. I don't know, can we live with the hairline crack? Take two, boom! Take two is a success. This dash cover is nicer, I didn't crack it, and it's a lot cleaner. So let's glue it on. Gonna wipe off this cluster, get it clean so there's no contaminants trapped inside of it. All right, there might be a squiggly or two in there, but for the most part, I'm all right with that. All right, we're gonna go for the one-hit wonder. Ooh, that looks like oh yeah, that looks so bad, I'm taking it off immediately. That looks awful. Ooh, ooh, now there's glue everywhere. Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's a mess. Good job, Tom. All right. Ooh. All right, so I'm gonna pump the brakes now. I took that failed attempt at gluing on the gauge cluster cover as a sign from God to slow down and first actually maybe figure out how I'm gonna mount this dash into the dash. You know what I'm talking about? What I mean is, this is a Honda gauge cluster and this is a Mustang dash, obviously. And what I haven't really thought about yet is how I'm going to actually mount this along with the two accessory gauges in this dash. I don't know. So, time to do some thinking. Now what I'm gonna do first is create a cardboard template that outlines the shape of the factory Mustang gauge cluster. All right, I have pretty symmetrically made this cutout that matches the opening in this dashboard. So moving forward, what do we gotta do? I sat down, took a piece of paper, and I sketched what I kind of want this to look like. As you can see, we'll have the Honda cluster inside, and then we'll have the two accessory gauges. I have an AFR and a boost gauge that are gonna go outside of it. And I figure I'm going to bolt the clear plastic cover that we gotta glue onto the gauge cluster to this metal plate we're making. So first we gotta trim up this dash so that the plastic cover can fit flush with this. Now, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna put together all of this. And I think something like this is pretty good because you can just see like the outline of the gauges, just like that. And I'll be able to trim this up to the tippity top edge, just so you can barely see that. And then, if all goes well, I can mimic this line here. How the I'm gonna do that, I don't know, but we'll try. And done, magic. This is the outline. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go about, I don't know, a ½ inch inside of this just because I don't feel like making this all over and I want room for error. So we're gonna go about ½ inch in, redraw the line on that ½ inch circumference, and then we'll cut it out. All right, I actually ended up going ½ centimeter. So now I'm just gonna kind of freehand on my measured marks and try to keep it symmetrical with the line. Okay, I have a new line. I'm going to use a razor blade and so perfectly cut it. Oh, okay, how are we looking? Ooh, we're getting closer. We're getting closer now. I fear I'm putting far too much effort and reliance on this really flimsy piece of cardboard that is bound to like rip at any second now. That's what CAD is for, cardboard aided design. All right, my piece is now as damn near perfect as it's gonna get. So before I destroy this flimsy cardboard piece, I'm just gonna make a template out of metal now and hope that it looks good. I'm using some nice thick 16 gauge here because it's gonna be thin on the edges and I want it to retain strength. Okay, perfectly and beautifully traced out. All right, time to expertly figure out a way to cut this out. After literally like 20 more minutes of fine trimming, I'm gonna call this good enough. Look at it straight up and down. You can't quite see the tippity top of the speedometer, but I think that's the best we're gonna get with the space we're working with. I'm gonna call that good and I'm gonna stop because it looks really cool. And I think it's time to now, 2 hours later, actually go to the store and see if we can find better glue and better plastic. You want to cook it?
Thank you.
This is a weird car. This car is
serious, go bunch wild, go on the run. Probably go hit a couple licks, then make some plays, might even pump. And I ain't.
Thinking we'll stick the clear plastic onto the gauges with some epoxy putty to seal any small gaps. And then once that sets up, we'll go for some self-mixing clear weld around the edge. And if all goes well, that'll be strong enough to hold the gauges to that plastic. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Alright, now before we mount the gauges together, I'm going to drill the holes for the accessory gauges. These are the AEM gauges that came in the car when I got it, but we got an air fuel gauge and we got an oil pressure gauge. So, bada bing, bada boom. They're gonna go like this. Hardware store's finest, hole dozer. Ask your mom, she should know a fair amount about that. This is stressful because as you've seen, it has taken me about 3 hours to make this one panel. And if I screw it up somehow, I'm probably gonna cry. Yay. Looking pretty decent, pretty straight-ish. Ow. You freaking carpenters in the comments or whatever you YouTube commenters do, you're gonna be like, it's the wrong way to drill the metal with the hole saw in the wood. And you're probably right. That is not a very nice sound. Oh, there we go. Yeah, man! Woo! Only mildly botched, but it looks fairly centered.
Hole number 2.
Oh! Oh yeah, that is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. All right, so take a gander at this right here. Do you see any connection? Any sort of similarities between the two? You got a big Speedo in the middle, 4 other circles surrounding the Speedo that are smaller. I mean, I'm not saying this is the coolest thing in the universe, but I'm kind of saying it's the coolest thing in the universe. All right, now let's make a plastic cover one more time. We couldn't find plexiglass, so I'm gonna use the acrylic, but because it's not gonna be bearing any load and we're not tightening anything against it, I don't think it'll crack. So this should work. Let's make it again without scratching it and without messing up the glue. Smells good. I can say that is damn near a perfect fit. This is gonna be better than stock. Look at that final fit up. Everything's pretty damn perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Couldn't have planned it better myself. All right, so I'm going to be attempting something that I've never really tried before. Or actually, you saw me try it yesterday and I screwed it up. So this is epoxy putty, and I'm going to mix it and then apply some to the outer edge here so you can't see it when it's in the car. So that should be a pretty good sort of adhesive grip on the outer edge. And then once that hardens, I'm gonna use actual like liquid epoxy around the entire thing. That should hold it together. Now, will this work? Honestly, who knows? All right, I think this might work. We'll just treat this like a little bit of body work. This is our Bondo applicator that I will just get on the edge here without going inside of the cluster, because I do not want to make a mess inside the cluster. Now I'm doing this on the outer edge because where I cut it, you can see it kind of dips down. And when I epoxy this in, I do not want there to be a gap for the epoxy to leak in and drip down onto the gauges, because that'll suck. And it will negate a lot of the work I've been doing to make this actually look clean. All right, we're making progress here. Am I doing it right? God knows. All right, we are now at the sensitive point where I hope that I can set this on without gooping it up. Nice and neat. Are we ready for this, cameraman?
Let's do it.
Fingers is clean. It's not perfect. All right, I'm gonna leave that be, let it set up, and then once it dries, we will add epoxy around the other edge. All right, I'm now gonna go ahead and squirt some epoxy on this thing, just because I want it to dry overnight. Then we can finish the dash tomorrow, because it's currently 10 p.m. So, how runny is this stuff? All right, so what I'm gonna do is apply this on the edges, in places where it will hopefully not run in. Yes, it is ugly, but it should work. This is epoxy, so it should dry to be pretty thick and tough. So if you come down here at my level, you can see there's a little tiny crack there that if I just squirt glue into, it's gonna leak into the cluster. And that's gonna be a cluster. Okay, I'm gonna say that epoxy is epoxied. All right, I puttied that edge there where I accidentally cut the thing a little too slim. So now we're just gonna let this cure for about the next 12, 18 hours, and then we'll come back tomorrow and maybe it'll be sealed up and hardened and perfect, and there won't be any issues or imperfections at all, and I won't be disappointed in a day's worth of work wasted. See you tomorrow. Hello. We're back. Has the glue dried? The big question of the day. All right, does it stay together when I pull off the weights? Ooh, feels sturdy, kind of like it's supposed to. I think the epoxy might have actually epoxied. Look at this. We got a seal all around the edges. Epoxy's nice and tough. I'm happy with that. Hell yeah! We'll set this aside in a safe place and we will finish this. Because I have to make a little piece that goes right here. Then we gotta figure out how to make this piece bolt in, because I want to be able to remove it and service the accessory. So, that piece first. All right, so first let's see if we can't get away with the good old Sharpie. So pretty much we gotta weld this to the dashboard, and it's gonna fill in the gap. And we look at this. The cut's just a morsel off of the edge, and then I say we get right to production. This piece will be metal right about now. Check out that fitment. Boom. Eyeball engineering right there. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tack it to this gauge panel, and then we gotta figure out a way to bolt everything together. All right, fast forward a few days. I've been working on this behind the scenes because it took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to bolt everything together nice and tight. So look at what I came up with. You can see here, I welded some tabs onto the Mustang dashboard that are nice and tight. And they're also fitted with nuts on the back side so that I can thread everything together from the interior of the car. And then you also, look here. You see I've welded some studs that will hold the cluster into place on the bottom. Now, I was able to figure that out because these are the factory holes to hold the cluster in, so it really worked out perfectly. But for the top, it was loose. So I had to make something like this, which is another mount that screws right into the plastic with a nut on the back side, so I can also tighten it from the interior. So, first things first, we put our cluster in. All it does is slides right on those studs. Boom. We grab some nuts. All right, get those nice and snug. And then you can see our mount here lines up very nicely. And we take our beautiful flush Allen head bolt. Look at this. Look at this. Good job, Tom. That looks beautiful. It's like the factory intended it to be like that. Ooh, beautiful. Now the cluster is in there. Look at that. It's tight. Now we take our beautiful dash piece that we made the other day. It's fitted with the accessory gauges. Plop it down. Oh, 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 and it just lines up. It just lines up. We take our little tiny Allen bolts, and then we crank them down too. And there's two. And then, take a look at that. Everything's together, nice and tight. And best part is, pretty much identical to the drawing we came up with, besides the screw holes on the edges. But I'm really happy with this. It looks really cool. So let's try to get this dashboard in the car now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, let's tack it in. That's about how it's gonna sit. I like that. Now what I'm gonna do is take these edges here, and since we thinned the dashboard, you can see the curvature does not quite fit up. But this is malleable enough where I'm just gonna bend it down along this new line and weld it in. I could just unbolt the dash, but why would I do that when I can duct tape a flammable rag over it? Yay! That's looking pretty cool. Dash is looking pretty good, so now I'm gonna pop it off, drill some holes in the cowl panel, and then clamp it together, weld it shut. That'll be a step forward. She's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. Last thing we need to fabricate on the dash is pieces that close the gaps on the edges. So one for the bottom, one for the top on each side, just so this is welded and sturdy and not gonna rattle. So once again, we're gonna make a little cardboard template that fits in here oh so nicely. And since this video is really long already, that'll be done right about now. This will fit on the bottom here, and it will be metal right about now. This is gonna require a lot of massaging, but let's just start welding it. All right, that's welded in. Looks decent, but it does the job. Now, for a top piece. That'll be ready to go right about now. This little metal bit is gonna go right in here. I will replicate that process on this side right about now. The dash fabrication is done, so now just for some finishing touches. Now the final pieces for our dashboard puzzle are, of course, these parts that we pulled from that junkyard car. Now, after some further inspection on this glove box door, I realized just how badly pitted it is, and this pot metal is actually not really repairable, or at least not repairable without a boatload of effort. So, my good friends over at CJ Pony Parts were once again nice enough to hook me up with a brand new glove box door that is going to complement this hard fabrication work beautifully. They were also nice enough to send over some of the extra hardware that's needed to install the change drawer and the glove box door. So let's mock them up real quick just to get a nice final view of all of this fabrication work. Oh yeah, that looks good. Alright, just mock that up there for now. Looks pretty good. One more thing. Oh! Oh yeah, that's pretty sick. That looks like a dashboard, which this car has never had. That's awesome. Thanks again, CJ's. If you guys need any classic Mustang parts, go to cjponyparts.com. There is a discount code in my description for them, by the way, so use that. A lot of hard work went into this, and it looks pretty awesome, I think. Whew, life is good, especially when you have gauges that are not held up by zip ties that you can read. They're solid. Everything's here. This is great. So anyways, guys, thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, thanks for watching the coolest day in automotive content on YouTube. I'll see you very soon. Love you.